welcome everybody to another episode of Inside Boxing Weekly on the Grueling Truth Radio Network. I'm your host, Mike Goodpaster, and right now I'd like to welcome in my co-host, Jeremiah Preisser.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank all our listeners for tuning in once again. Ready to talk some boxing, Mike?
Yeah, and I think it's like 40 consecutive shows now where I've said your last name correctly.
Yeah, you got it right.
For everybody out there that thinks, how could you mess that up, it's because Jeremiah don't spell his last name right, and it's confusing.
Yeah, no, it wasn't my fault. It's the fault of my Prussian ancestors. Instead of Preisser, you know, the way it sounds, P-R-I-C-E-R, it's P-R-E-I-S-S-E-R. But, hey, I got to live with it. Mike's got it right.
All right, so we'll talk about what happened this last weekend. Wasn't as good a weekend as we thought it would be, mainly because of Alexander Povetkin. Ended up fighting, Johann Duhaupas?
Yep, the Frenchman.
Yeah, well, you know French heavyweights. Can you name a great French heavyweight?
No, I can't. No, not a French heavyweight. I mean, Scott Ledoux was a Frenchman. He wasn't so bad. But
yeah, but he wasn't from France. He was American.
Yeah, I mean, the French aren't producing many great fighters.
But Marcel Cerdan, the great middleweight champion, he was.
Yeah, Cerdan was excellent. Marcel Still was pretty good himself. He's a Hall of Famer.
All right, but Povetkin, he ends up knocking out Duhaupas in 6 rounds. Ended up testing positive for Ostarine, and I mean, basically it killed the Stavern fight. Stavern pulled out, which you can't really blame him. What's your take on all this? I mean, it seems to me like Povetkin used to be a really good boxer, but it wasn't that hard of a hitter, and now he's getting highlight reel knockouts all the time.
Yeah, I mean, he scored 4 or 5 consecutive highlight reel knockouts. I mean, God, the knockout against Manuel Char was wonderful. I mean, the knockout against Mike Perez, who everybody thought was a tough guy, he fucking blitzed him in 1 round.
Well, Char's a tough guy.
Yeah, Char is a tough guy. Now, I mean, I guess Povetkin didn't get a highlight reel knockout against Vach, but I mean that's the only one in his most recent fights. But yeah, I mean Povetkin was always a good hitter, but not a great hitter. I mean, you see what it took Deontay Wilder wasn't really cracking Duhaupas like Povetkin did. I mean, everybody considers Wilder a big hitter. You know, I think there's still some left to be learned about that because the only top 10 guy that he fought he didn't knock out. But back to the point, Povetkin blitzed Duhaupas. I mean, if you see the left hook that knocked him out cold, I mean, it was a pretty hook. Povetkin's a good fighter. I don't think he needs Peds to beat a guy like Duhaupas. I don't think he needs Peds to beat a guy like Stavern, to be honest with you. But yeah, I mean, he just looks like he's punching a bit harder. He looks a bit tighter. I mean, he looks more muscular, in my opinion, than he used to. And, of course, he used to attribute that to diet. But from the test, it looks as if he's using Peds, and it's unfortunate because Stavern was a good fight. I mean, it wasn't a great fight, but it would have decided who was a mandatory challenger for Wilder, and I think most of us believe that Povetkin would win. And a Povetkin versus Wilder fight was big. I mean, it was something that we could all look forward to, but unfortunately, he ruined it. He had to knock out a guy on 1 day's notice, and now he's stuck with his career in limbo.
Yeah, so the question is now, what about his career? I mean, even if he cleans himself up, everybody's going to have that doubt. I mean, it's going to make it that much harder for him to get a big fight.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, but the problem with him is he's Russian. I mean, there's a stigma surrounding the Russians, especially now because of what they've been caught doing in the Olympics.
Well, yeah, Ivan Drago back in '86.
Yeah, the biggest Ped user of all. I mean, the guy
Rocky's still real to me, by the way. So.
Yeah, but I mean, since Povetkin is Russian, it's going to stick more than it did against, like when we think about it, all the guys who have been popped recently, Erkan Tepper, who's from Germany, Lucas Brown, who's from Australia, Luis Ortiz, who is from Cuba. On and on and on. Tony Thompson from the United States of America. I mean, I've always said that this is a global issue, but unfortunately because Povetkin is kind of at the heart of what's already a mess, it's going to be tough for him to get any big fights anymore, and especially at 37 years of age. And it's unfortunate because he's a good fighter, but I don't know what he does. I mean, Luis Ortiz he's reformed, and now he takes VADA testing consistently. Maybe Povetkin can do that to try to prove, that he's clean now, and maybe he'll get something. But I don't know. At this juncture of his career, it's tough.
Yeah, but to have a huge fight with him and Wilder called off, and now at least middle-of-the-road fight called off, I mean, even if you're a promoter, you have to be a little wary of him.
Oh, yeah. Well, even his promoter, Rubinsky, the billionaire who backs him, he admitted today that, the Povetkin ordeal is a mess, and he admitted that his career is at risk. So I guess what they plan on doing is they're trying to clear their name. They say they ate it. They ate tainted beef, and that, they're going to take a lie detector test. Yeah, whatever, okay? I mean, he's going to have to do a lot more than that to clean it up. And again, especially at this age, it's just going to be tough. But
so did he eat tainted beef twice?
Yeah, well, I guess he didn't use that excuse the first time. I mean, to his credit, he was cleared the first time. And that one I understand a bit more. That's all chemistry and whatnot. But this, I don't know. It's just, I mean, again, Russians are well known for their ped use. And Povetkin he doesn't really surprise anybody.
All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the fights that actually happened this week. We had a guy you really like, Usyk, the cruiserweight, who ended up fighting Machunu. A lot of people give Usyk a little bit of trouble here because he had a little bit of trouble with Machunu. But I thought Machunu was better than I thought he would be. He was awkward as hell. It's hard to look good against a guy like that, but Usyk still dominated the fight. He figured him out, and after a rough first few rounds, basically took control of the fight and got him out of there.
Yeah, like you said, Machuno's anybody who's seen him fight in the past knows that he's a tough out for anybody. I mean, I haven't seen anybody pick him apart, especially not like Usyk. But it's one of those things. He kind of had that awkward style. His timing was a bit weird. He landed some of the jabs. But for me, it was just a good learning experience for Usyk. I mean, like you said, it took him a little while to kind of figure him out, get him down. But once he did, his class started to show. And in my opinion, he's the classiest guy at cruiserweight. I mean, the kid looks excellent. He's only 11 fights in. He did have a big amateur background. We got to throw that in. But he looks like the real deal, in my opinion. And I think
you get a lot of guys like, was Jorge Luis Gonzalez, the Cuban heavyweight who was supposed to be so great that flamed out. It seems to me like a lot of those guys that have a lot of fights kind of flame out. These guys are coming in and taking over quickly. So it says a lot for the Ukrainian boxing program, too.
Yeah, no, and I'm a big fan of the Ukrainian boxing program. I think they've done a real good job in recent years. I mean, Usyk, he broke Evander Holyfield's mark of the quickest to win a title at cruiserweight. I mean, it only
I think Holyfield won in his 12th fight against Kwawi, didn't he?
Correct. Yep, that is correct. And, Usyk only took 10 fights. I mean, you also take into account guys like Evgen Kitrov. I mean, he's damn near a top 10 contender, and he's only got, 12 fights, 14 fights, something like that. Sergey Deverenchenko, he's almost a top 10 guy, and he's got, very few fights. Vasil Lomachenko, obviously we know the story with him. But, yes, I mean, and I expect the same from a few other guys, too. But Usyk is definitely one of those guys. And I like these guys. I mean, unlike the Cubans, I don't know what it is about Cubans, and I've heard series on this before, but the Cubans, they have a tendency not to realize their potential, but the Ukrainians, a lot of these Eastern European guys, they have a tendency to take it a bit more seriously, and take it more as a job, and their performances overall have, in my opinion, they've tended to be better. Again, you got guys like Gamboa who've kind of flamed out a bit, but yeah, Usyk's excellent. I look forward to seeing every one of his fights, and from what I hear, he may end up on Golovkin-Jacobs undercard.
Yeah, which would be great. We'll talk about that fight in a little bit. That brings us to the main event. I think Bernard Hopkins is no longer going to fight again. Got knocked out by Joe Smith in the 8th round. The thing that bothered me about this fight is this. Number one of the judges somehow had Hopkins leading. And number two, the fact that Hopkins complained about being shoved out of the ring when he obviously got his ass knocked out. And then Max Kellerman will not really address it. I missed, Larry Merchant that night.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes that's why I wish Larry Merchant was still on the telecast. I mean, he's one of the few guys who would go against the grain. I mean, you got guys like Jim Lampley, color commentator, whatever, he does an okay job. But, yeah, these guys have a tendency they just tend to hype guys too much. But, I mean, the fact is Hopkins didn't hurt it. If he hurt his ankle, it's because Joe Smith punches that hard. Maybe he felt it down to his very, foundation.
Well, and the thing that got me about that is when he is sitting in the locker room and they're interviewing him, he has to tell them which part of his ankle is messed up. If you have a twisted ankle, it usually swells up almost immediately, doesn't it?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I've had a bunch of sprained ankles, and I know that, from firsthand experience. But I don't get it. I mean, I don't understand where he's going. Maybe he just, I don't know. Maybe he's doing this to mentally kind of cover it all up. I don't know. We all saw the replay. We all saw what happened. I mean, it wasn't your damn ankle that took the left and right hands. It was your face. And then it was his head that hit the damn ground. I mean, something reminiscent of Alden Muskaivan and Seam Rockman. Of course, Hopkins must have a hell of a cranium because he wasn't knocked out. But again, we saw what happened. Joe Smith ended his career. Hopkins said that he's going to stick to what he said before the fight, and he's going to leave it at that. I mean, it was coming. I mean, when you're 50-something years old, and he looked older. I mean, he looked a bit slow. His reflexes weren't as sharp as they used to be.
He hadn't fought in 2 years either.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't fought since he got a clear shellacking by Sergey Kovalev.
And I'll tell you, I think Joe Smith 2 years ago would have beat his ass like that.
Quite possibly. I mean, I don't know for sure. I think Hopkins looked a little bit better 2 years ago. But, I mean, either way, Joe Smith won. And really, I don't want to deflect away from his win because, he went out there and did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah, but see, that was my whole problem the way Hopkins acted. It did take away from the kid's win. And
right.
It was a big moment for him. Hopkins has had his time in the sun. He's had a long time in the sun. I mean, you got your ass beat. Just telling me, I mean, basically, the way I look at it is this. Bernard Hopkins, if he really thought he was about to beat Joe Smith, would fight Joe Smith again because he's too proud to go out like that. I think he realizes that Joe Smith is just better than him right now, that he doesn't have enough left.
No, I agree. I think he realizes that he's reached the end of the road, and maybe the excuses are, he just can't cope with it. But, hey, credit to Joe Smith. I mean, for, like a working-class Irish kid, good for him. I mean, this is a big deal in his life, a big stamp in his career, and I guarantee he goes on to do bigger and better things. And just in my opinion, I wouldn't mind seeing him fight a guy like Sean Monahan immediately. I think that'd be a big East Coast fight, two Irish guys. Just my 2 cents.
Yeah, and I think Joe Smith gives almost anybody trouble. Now, he's not going to give Andre Ward trouble, and he's probably not going to trouble Kovalev, but anybody else in that division, I'd like to watch him fight Adonis Stevenson. I
think fight against Adonis Stevenson. Funny, I've heard some rumors that fight may actually take place, or it's being looked at. That's not a fight I wouldn't mind at all. I mean, I think there are a lot of guys at 175 who he'd match up well with. I mean, if you saw the Shabransky fight and the Barrera fight, I think him versus Shabransky's a real good scrap. Him versus Pascal, who's obviously faded at the time, but a guy who doesn't mind, giving a little. I mean, there are a lot of options. I mean, 175 is it's becoming a deep class. And, with his punching power, I wouldn't mind seeing him take on most of these guys, except, the better guys. I want him to leave those alone right now. But, I mean, any of the guys, top 4 and below, yeah, I'm all for it.
Well, anybody that he fights, he has a puncher's chance no matter who it is. Because the kid can whack. And, I mean, the Fonfaro victory is what first impressed me with him. Because Fonfaro is a good fighter.
Right. Yeah, I mean, and a lot of us didn't know a whole lot about Joe Smith then, but, he came out and blitzed Fonfara, a guy who was coming off the Chavez Jr. victory, which isn't, spectacular or anything, but, yeah, like Fonfara, he gave Adonis Stevenson a tough fight. We expected Fonfara to be at least a slight favorite over Smith, but Smith proved us all wrong, and he had a good win against Hopkins, regardless of his age, and there were a lot of options for him.
Well, you brought up Chavez Jr. Is there a reason that Canelo Alvarez is going to fight him? Other than money?
Yeah, I mean, no, not really. I mean, obviously it's about money. It's mostly about money. Actually, to this point, Bob Arum actually was looking forward to this fight years ago. What Bob Arum had hoped, what his plan was that Chavez Jr. would continue on his winning ways, stop at middleweight. Canelo would obviously get there not long afterwards. and then you'd have this, massive showdown between two popular Mexicans at 160 pounds. But Aram's dreams, fell a bit to pieces because Chavez obviously hasn't lived up to his end of the deal. He's been too hot and cold. His training habits are not what they should be. But for this fight, I don't know. I don't really know anybody who's looking forward to it. Obviously, a bunch of casual Mexican fans, I guess. But Canelo's obviously the superior fighter here, and I think it looks bad for Canelo.
Well, he'll have 3 fights in a row that look bad then. The only hope I get out of this is that then he does fight a Golovkin because he almost has to by then, especially if he beats Chavez as easy as people think he will.
Right. In my opinion, he has to not only because he has to step up his competition, but because this is what a lot of fans are talking about, is Canelo went back down to 154, right, to save face. He's like, oh, my body's not ready for 160. Well, this fight will be at 165 pounds. Essentially, they'll be super middleweights. You cannot sit here and complain about not being a middleweight and then jump 10 pounds without any wiggling at all. He's not like, oh my God, I can't do this. This is too much. He doesn't seem to care at all. He's all for it. And I understand from the money perspective, but again, you can't sit here and say you're not a true middleweight and then jump to 165. You're just proving us all right anyways. You avoided Golovkin, you gave up your title, whatever. But what I did hear, and of course, in boxing we know there's a lot of bullshit that's talked, but Oscar De La Hoya was actually on one of the ESPN shows, and Stephen A. Smith and Max Kellerman were interviewing him, and Max Kellerman asked him directly. He was like, can we expect Canelo to fight Golovkin in 2017? And Oscar De La Hoya, quote, said, I'll put my boxing promoter's license on it. So I hope that's a testament, and I hope that's truth.
All right, and that brings us to 2 fights that I am looking forward to. One, Gennady Golovkin fighting Daniel Jacobs. I think it's the best middleweight fight you can make. I think it's a better fight than Canelo Alvarez against him.
I think it's a good fight. I'm happy to finally see not only that Golovkin is getting a good, top 5 guy in his prime, but also a guy from Al Heyman's stable. I think that opens up options for Golovkin. In the future, let's imagine that he gets through Danny Jacobs. There are a lot of Al Heyman guys at 154, the Charlo guys. Demetrius Andrade is not one of those guys, but I think it opens up options for Golovkin, which is good. But in regards to this fight, it's a good fight. Should it be on pay-per-view? Unless they really stack the undercard, the answer, in my opinion, is no. But
it's probably closer to a boxing pay-per-view than almost anything we've seen on pay-per-view.
It may be. It's tough for me to say. I like Jacobs. His background story, it's inspiring. It's easy to get behind. And I think Danny Jacobs is a good, skilled guy. But I just don't think he has the chin to hang with Golovkin. He did get stopped by Pirog, and he was dropped by Sergio Mora. And I just think Golovkin's power is going to be too much. But again, it's a good fight, and I'm happy to see it.
We need more good fights, so we got more stuff to talk about on here.
Yeah, no shit.
Next up, the fight I'm really looking forward to is Anthony Joshua against Vladimir Klitschko. You think Klitschko's too old, been too inactive? You think Joshua takes him, or what's your thoughts on this match?
It's so tough. I know we talked about Anthony Joshua not long ago, and I'm still up in the air about how I feel about him. I think he's a good youngster. I think he's the best-looking youngster that we've got at the moment. But is he a great? I don't know. But is Klitschko great at the moment? I don't think so. Klitschko, like Hopkins, has taken a lot of time off.
Well, he lost to Tyson Fury, so he can't be great. Not anymore.
In a boring-ass fight, he lost to Tyson Fury. So I think there's some similarities there between Bernard Hopkins and Vladimir Klitschko. And not only that, they both keep themselves in really good shape. But, the fact that Klitschko is a heavyweight and he's been inactive and, his last performance wasn't awe-inspiring, I just think it's a recipe and a good recipe. Even though I like Klitschko, this can be a passing of the torch moment, and I think it's good for boxing. And not only that, I want to add that they've already sold 50,000 tickets for this fight.
Yeah, it does surprise me because, I mean, Klitschko's as big over there as Joshua is.
Right, yeah, Klitschko's massive in Europe. I mean, there are going to be a bunch of people. I mean, a lot of it's going to be, the Brits, of course, but, I mean, there are going to be a lot of, especially Germans, because, that's almost an adopted home country for Klitschko. He's fought there for years. It's going to be I don't know if the fight itself is going to be great, but it may answer some interesting questions. I mean, if I have a problem with Anthony Joshua, it's that he doesn't really move his head that well. And if you don't move your head that well, even against a fading Klitschko, you never know. But, again, it's interesting. It's a good, possibly passing of the torch moment, and I'm excited to see it. It's good for the heavyweight division, and if Anthony Joshua wins, I mean, the division's wide open. I mean, at that point, I don't see any reason why he couldn't take on anybody.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you can beat Klitschko, you can beat Wilder, even an old Klitschko.
Right. And
I'm still not completely sold on Wilder either. My question with Joshua is, can he take a punch from a big heavyweight?
Yeah, and it's tough to say. I mean, he was certainly hurt against Dillian White. I mean, he he didn't recover that well in that fight either. But it's going to be tough. Hopefully, these questions are answered. And credit to Anthony Joshua. And after that fight, I think a lot of people would like to see Fury, stop dicking around and see him defend his championship, the real championship, against Anthony Joshua in another big domestic showdown.
Well, I think Joshua would actually whip his ass.
Quite possibly. I mean, I think
he's too young and too quick. I mean, Fury, it's not like he was always dominant against the competition he was fighting either.
No, I mean, he was dropped against Steve Cunningham. But he did look good against guys like, Chisora and whatnot. I mean, he's been pretty hit or miss, but I mean, it's a big fight, and that's what the heavyweight division needs. That's what boxing needs. I mean, people have
Here's my big thing about Fury. I mean, it's kind of like Mike Tyson. To me, not a great fighter. He was dominant for a short period of time, but his problem was in his head. And to me, I think Tyson Fury has the same problem. I mean, I don't think you can be a legendary fighter if you have a problem upstairs. And I'm not saying that, a Tyson or a Fury is stupid, but I'm just saying that they seem to have a hard time overcoming things when they go wrong for them, whether it's in their life or in a fight.
Yeah, I mean, you can certainly see evidence of that. I mean, just by what he's done since he's won the belt. I mean, he talks a lot of shit like, hey, you guys only have belts because of me. And, granted that's true, we still want to see you defend the title. I mean, seeing him not only talk that kind of shit, but, him, blowing up in between fights. I mean,
he Buster Douglased it.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a number of pictures of him, and he looks shitty. But I mean, you're probably right. I mean, mentally, he's probably not tough, and maybe the heavyweight championship is all he has to hold on to now. So he's milking it a bit.
Yeah. All right. Well, you got anything else before we wrap it up?
No, not much else. I mean, the only thing coming up that I can, mention, and since he is a guy that I like, Artur Beterbiev is fighting against Isidro Preisser, this coming weekend in Quebec. It's not a big fight. It's not, really something we can all get super excited about, but Beterbiev is a guy that I like, big punching guy, good potential. I'll be watching that.
All right. Well, next week we will wrap up the year, our first year of doing the Grueling Truth Inside Boxing Weekly show. We'll have our awards. I figure Fighter of the Year, Fight of the Year, Round of the Year, stuff like that. Maybe Newcomer of the Year, because I know Jeremiah is huge on the newcomers, correct?
That is true.
All right. So, Jeremiah, any final words?
No final words. I mean, we're just nearing the end of the year, and I'm looking forward to wrapping up the year. Not only because I'm looking forward to 2017, doing bigger and better things with the Grueling Truth. It's just been an exciting time hanging out with you, Mike, and we'll talk more about this once we reach that point.
Yeah, most definitely. So make sure you catch us next week with Grueling Truth's year-end boxing award winners. I'm sure all the boxers will be excited about me and Jeremiah picking them for something.
Oh, they'll be tuning in.
So make sure you check out Gridiron Mo, our main sponsor, www.gridironmo.com. And also, if you could go, and we've got another sponsor that just came on in the last week, which is the Beer of the Month Club, where I think it's like $39. You get 12 different craft beers every month delivered to your door, Jeremiah. So if you want to check that out, I think it's thegruelingtruth.net/beer. So make sure you check that out also. You can also catch us, iHeart, iTunes, Spreaker, Stitcher. I'm getting tired of saying that stuff. If you want to hear The Grueling Truth, you punch it in, you go to thegruelingtruth.net, you can find us, but you can also find us on iHeart and everywhere else you find any kind of sports podcast. So for Jeremiah Preisser, I'm Mike Goodpaster. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.